Many political commentators speculate that right now, Russia is acting as a secret back channel between Israel and Iran. In January 2026, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu used Vladimir Putin to send a private message to Tehran saying Israel didn't want another war. Iran sent a message back through the same Russian channel saying it would not strike first. Weeks later, on February 28th, the United States and Israel launched nearly 900 strikes on Iran anyway. Russia condemned the attacks, but it did not intervene. So here is the question. Why is Russia so deeply involved in what happens to Israel? Why is Moscow positioning itself between two countries on the brink of war? And what does any of this have to do with a prophecy written over 2,600 years ago? The answer is in the book of Ezekiel, and when you see what it says, the headlines start to look very different. Why Russia is paying attention to Israel? A lot of countries have their eyes on Israel right now. That's not surprising, given the ongoing war with Iran, the instability across the Middle East, and the geopolitical realignment happening in the region. But there is one country whose attention should matter more to students of the Bible prophecy than any other, and that country is Russia. Over the past decade, Russia has become a central player in Middle Eastern geopolitics. Its military intervention in Syria, starting in 2015, put Russian forces directly into Israel's neighborhood. Since then, Moscow has maintained a working relationship with both Israel and Iran, often playing both sides. Putin and Netanyahu have held over 19 meetings and more than 60 phone calls since 2012. Russia has also deepened its military partnership with Iran, receiving thousands of Shahed drones for the war in Ukraine and agreeing to sell advanced fighter jets to Tehran. Russia is not a neutral observer. It's a calculated player with interests in the region that go far beyond diplomacy. And the Bible tells us exactly where this is heading. So why would Russia ever turn against Israel? They've had a working relationship. Putin and Netanyahu talk regularly. Israel has refused to sanction Russia or send weapons to Ukraine. On the surface, things look stable. But Ezekiel's prophecy is not about today's alliances. It's about what comes next. And there are two things Israel has that Russia needs. First, energy. Israel is sitting on massive natural gas reserves. The Leviathan field, located about 130 kilometers off the coast of Haifa, holds an estimated 623 billion cubic meters of recoverable gas. In January 2026, Chevron approved a $2.36 billion expansion to nearly double its production capacity. In August 2025, the Leviathan partners signed the largest gas export deals in Israel's history, a $35 billion agreement to supply Egypt. Israel now generates over 70% of its electricity from natural gas and is rapidly becoming a key energy supplier to the Eastern Mediterranean. Russia holds the world's largest proven natural gas reserves, but its ability to export that gas to Europe has been severely disrupted by the war in Ukraine and Western sanctions. Controlling or disrupting Israel's gas supply would give Russia leverage over European and Middle Eastern energy markets. Seizing those reserves outright would be even more valuable. Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39 describe a future military invasion of Israel led by a figure called Gog from the land of Magog. The text identifies this leader as the prince of Rosh, Meshach, and Tubal, names that Bible scholars have long associated with territories in modern Russia and Turkey. Ezekiel 38 verses 3 and 4 describe God's response to this invasion. Behold, I am against you, O Gog. I will turn you around, put hooks into your jaws, and lead you out with all your army. That image is striking. God puts a hook in Russia's jaws and pulls it toward Israel. Russia does not just decide to attack on its own. It is drawn in. Something compels it to move, and the text tells us what that something is. Ezekiel 38 verse 12 says the invading forces comes to seize plunder and carry off loot. They come to take a spoil. They come for Israel's wealth, its resources, its strategic position. Given what we know about Israel's energy reserves and maritime significance, The motive described in this prophecy is not abstract. It is concrete. The spoil is real, and it is growing. Ezekiel does not describe Russia coming alone. The prophecy names a coalition. Persia, that is modern Iran, Kush and Put, generally identified as Sudan and Libya, Gomer and Beth Togarmah, widely associated with Turkey and the Turkic nations of Central Asia. Now, look at the current state of these relationships. Russia and Iran are military partners. Iran has supplied Russia with drones and technology for the war in Ukraine. Russia has sold Iran fighter jets and provided diplomatic cover. Turkey, though still a NATO member, has purchased Russian S-400 air defense systems and has been steadily drifting from the Western alliance toward a more independent foreign policy. Libya and Sudan remain unstable and open to outside influence. The alliance Ezekiel described 2,600 years ago was unthinkable for most of history. Russia, Turkey, and Iran were rivals. They fought against each other for centuries. But in our lifetime, that has changed. They are now cooperating, coordinating, building ties. The coalition is assembled. It's not a prediction anymore. It is a fact on the ground. There is one condition in the prophecy that has not yet been met. Ezekiel 38 verse 11 says the invasion happens when Israel is dwelling safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Right now, Israel is at war. It is fighting Iran. It recently fought in Lebanon. It has military operations in multiple theaters. Israel is not dwelling securely. Not yet. But here is what is worth watching. The current conflicts, particularly the strikes that have severely damaged Iran's military capabilities and much of its senior leaderships, may have actually be creating the conditions for that period of security. If Iran is weakened enough, if Hezbollah is sufficiently degraded, if a peace arrangement of some kind emerges, even a temporary one, Israel could enter a season where it feels safe, where the walls come down, where the guard drops. And that is exactly when Ezekiel says the attack comes. The current war is not the Gog and Magog invasion, but it may be setting the stage for it. Here's where the prophecy takes a dramatic turn. Because this invasion does not succeed, God Himself intervenes to defend Israel, and He uses three specific weapons. First, a massive earthquake. Ezekiel 38 verses 19 and 20 describe God sending a devastating earthquake to the land of Israel. The text says, "The fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the beasts of the field, every creature on the ground, and all the people on the face of the earth will tremble at His presence. Mountains will be thrown down, cliffs will crumble, every wall will collapse." This earthquake is described as killing a significant portion of the invading army. It creates chaos and confusion among forces that include troops from multiple nations, speaking different languages, using different equipment. Ezekiel 38 verse 21 says, "Every man's sword will be against his brother." In the confusion that follows the earthquake, the coalition forces turn on each other. Soldiers from Russia, Turkey, Iran, and their alliances begin killing one another. In military terms, this is catastrophic friendly fire on a massive scale. This is not without biblical precedent. In the days of Gideon, God caused the Midianite army to turn their swords on each other. In 2 Chronicles 20, the armies that came against Jehoshaphat destroyed themselves. God has done this before, and Ezekiel tells us He will do it again. Ezekiel 38 verse 22 describes God raining down on the invading forces with torrential rain, hailstone, fire, and burning sulfur. Again, this echoes Old Testament accounts where God sent hailstones against the enemies of Israel, as in the battle described in Joshua 10. Three weapons: an earthquake, confusion and self-destruction, and supernatural judgment from the sky. The Russian-led coalition is annihilated, not by Israel's military, not by any human alliance, by God. Now, here's what makes this prophetically significant beyond the battle itself. The destruction of the Russian-Iranian-Turkish coalition creates a massive power vacuum. With Russia broken, Iran destroyed, and Turkey crippled, The global balance of power shifts dramatically. There is a gap, and someone steps into it. That someone is the Antichrist. According to the prophetic timeline, the Antichrist rises to power in the aftermath of this destruction. He brokers a peace deal. He appears as a problem solver, a unifier, a leader the world desperately needs. He confirms a covenant with Israel for 7 years. He gains control of a global government, a global economy, and a global religion. But halfway through that 7-year period, he breaks the treaty. He turns against Israel. He sets himself up in the temple in Jerusalem and demands that the world worship him as God. He implements a system where no one can buy or sell without his mark. Those who refuse are killed. The righteous remnant of Israel flees to the wilderness. Many believe to Petra, where God protects them for 3.5 years until the Messiah returns. It's important to understand that the Bible describes 2 major wars centered on Israel before Christ's return. The first is the Gog and Magog War of Ezekiel 38 and 39, the Russian-led invasion we have been discussing. God destroys the invading coalition supernaturally. This event creates the conditions for the Antichrist's rise. The second war comes at the end of the 7-year tribulation. This is the Battle of Armageddon, described in Revelation 16 and 19. A massive army, including what the Bible describes as 200 million soldiers from the east, converges on Israel. The battlefield stretches across the valley of Megiddo. But this battle ends differently from any battle in human history. Jesus Christ returns from heaven. Every believer who had trusted in him rides with him, and he destroys every opposing force instantly. The Antichrist and the false prophet are captured and thrown alive into the lake of fire. This is the end of human rebellion, and it's the beginning of Christ's eternal kingdom. The Bible makes something unmistakably clear. God is Israel's defender. Psalm 121 verse 4 says, "He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep." Genesis 12 verse 3 records God's covenant with Abraham. "I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse." When Russia gathers its coalition and marches towards Israel, God does not panic. He does not scramble for a response. Psalm 2 tells us what he does. Why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves against the Lord and against his anointed. And then, he who sits in the heavens shall laugh. The Lord shall hold them in derision. God laughs, not out of cruelty, out of absolute sovereignty. The mightiest armies on earth are nothing to him. The coalition that worlds fear is a joke to the God who created the mountains they plan to cross. No one successfully comes against Israel when God stands in the way. History has proved it, and prophecy guarantees it will happen again. A warning to all nations. This is not just about Russia. God's shaking is not limited to one country or one coalition. The prophet Haggai recorded God's words. "Once more, in a little while, I'm going to shake the heavens and the earth, the sea and the dry land. I'm going to shake all nations." Haggai 2 verse 22 adds, "I will overthrow the thrones of kingdoms. I will destroy the strength of the Gentile kingdoms." All nations, that includes the United States, that includes China, that includes every power on earth. God is going to shake the nations, and when he does, the only thing that will remain standing is his kingdom. After the Battle of Armageddon, Jesus Christ returns to Jerusalem, not as a teacher, not as a healer, as a king. He establishes a kingdom that lasts 1,000 years on this earth and then continues forever. Satan is bound. The Antichrist is destroyed. The false prophet is destroyed. And Jesus reigns from the very city that the nations tried to take from him. So here is where we stand. Russia is deeply embedded in the Middle East. It is allied with Iran. It is partnered with Turkey. It's watching Israel's growing energy wealth with strategic interest. It has positioned itself as a mediator, a power broker, and a military presence in the region. And the Bible told us this would happen. 26 centuries ago, Ezekiel described a coalition led from the far north that would come against Israel to seize a spoil. The nations he named are now aligned. The spoil he described is now real. The only condition not yet met is Israel dwelling securely, and the current conflicts may be the very thing that creates that temporary security. The pieces are on the board, the players are in position, and the God who sees the end from the beginning is watching.
Persia, which is modern-day Iran, is a significant player in end-time Bible prophecy. Now, when it comes to naming all the nations lined up marching against Israel, guess which nation is right at the front of the queue? Well, in Ezekiel 38 verse 5, the Bible says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya are with them, all of them with shield and helmet. This is a coalition coming. And Ezekiel says the one that's going to rev it up is Persia. When it comes to Iran, there is no nation on earth that has threatened Israel more completely for annihilation. Many scholars believe that the nation of Iran, in this modern day and in the hands of its current leaders, are tied, controlled, and influenced by ancient principalities. It's demonic. It's not human. It's a demonic passion to destroy God's chosen people of promise, the Jewish people. Remember the lesson from Daniel chapter 10. Daniel exposed that as he was praying, behind the scenes, the answer to his prayer was influenced by the prince of Persia, this high-ranking principality and power. Daniel 10 verse 13 explains, "But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days." This prince was no human king. It was a spiritual being, a demonic power influencing the Persian Empire. This dark power fought to keep the answer from reaching Daniel. This demon over a country. Now, another aspect of this is, what's next on the prophetic timeline? Is it the rapture? Or is it World War III, which may or may not play a part in the Gog and Magog war? But let's take a closer look at the prophetic events profiled in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Many believe those events are not too far off in the future. But let me briefly share what Ezekiel 38 to 39 says is going to happen, because these chapters profile how Israel will be attacked by a broad and overwhelming coalition of hostile forces. These forces are led by the biblically symbolic name Gog, who is also referred to as the Prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal. This coalition hates Israel and attacks with overwhelming military assets, advancing on Israel from the far north. Enemy forces will mercilessly attack. Their dual purpose is to plunder and loot and annihilate the people of Israel. Ezekiel notes the decisive battlefield will be the mountains of Israel, which have long been desolate. When Israel's destruction seems imminent, God will intervene and bring about a decisive victory by sending torrents of rain, hailstones, and burning sulfur down on the advancing army. God desires that through this clearly supernatural victory, many will be brought to faith in Him. Ezekiel 38 verse 23 notes, "I will make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they will know that I am the Lord." Okay, let's look at this important, potentially near-future prophecy in more detail. The Ezekiel 38 prophecy begins, "The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, set your face against Gog, of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Prophesy against him and say, 'This is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Gog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Okay, thus far we see that God is angry with the plans and actions of certain groups, being led by Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Ezekiel writes these sobering words from God to Gog: "I am against you." The text notes the evil players are led by Gog, and as we will see, they will conspire and plan to destroy Israel. God will use their malice and, like Pharaoh of old, harden their hearts and lure them to Israel, and there supernaturally destroy them, as a sign and witness to the world that He alone is Lord, and the prophecies in the Bible are true. Ezekiel then describes what it will be like for Israel. He calls enemy forces hordes, and notes that Israel will be surrounded. He writes, "All the hordes will be gathered about you. You will be called to arms." In verse 9, we read that the enemy force will advance like a storm, and that it will be like a cloud covering the land. Vivid, sobering word imagery. Verses 10 to 12 provide additional insight into why these nations will attack. The verse also provides insight as to the when. Ezekiel notes two primary reasons for the attack. The first is arrogance and pride. Note how many times the phrase "I will" is used. It is the same phrase both Ezekiel and Isaiah used to describe the pride of Satan, who in ages past said, "I will raise my throne above the throne of God." Beginning in verse 10, we read, "On that day you will devise an evil scheme. You will say, 'I will invade a land of unwalled villages. I will attack a peaceful and unsuspecting people, all of them living without walls and without gates and bars. I will plunder and loot and turn my hand against the resettled people gathered from the nations. The enemy will attack because he hates Israel and in pride believes he can prevail against the nation God has vowed to restore and use in the last days. There is pride, there is arrogance, and there is a deep desire to subvert God's prophetic plan. So, what are believers to do today? First and foremost, we are not to live in fear, but we are to live with our hope and faith in Jesus Christ. Next, we are to see that Bible prophecy is true and use it, as we can, as a witnessing tool. Regarding hostility against Israel, believers can look to headlines regarding coalitions being formed, threats being made, and economic needs heightening, all of which could set the stage for this epic conflict. Believers are to share the warning signs with unbelievers so that when prophecy unfolds as predicted, skeptics will be brought to faith. Be wise in these times. That's my message for you today. In this video, I want to highlight some significant things that are happening right now, things that should capture our attention. Wars and rumors of wars. Matthew 24, verses 6 to 8 says, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains." Now look around the world right now. What do we see? We see the conflict in Iran escalating. We see Russia and Ukraine locked in an ongoing war. We see the threat of China invading Taiwan looming on the horizon. We see tensions rising in the Middle East. We see military buildups and posturing across multiple continents. And here's what strikes me. These aren't random events. These aren't coincidences. These are the exact things Jesus told us to watch for. Nation rising against nation, kingdom against kingdom. The birth pains are intensifying. People ask me, is this the end times? I don't know the day or the hour, but I know this. When you see the signs Jesus described, lining up one after another, when you see wars and rumors of wars multiplying across the globe, when you see the world becoming increasingly unstable, you should be paying attention. You should be watching. You should be wise. Number 2, technology is reshaping reality at an exponential pace. We are living in a time of unprecedented technological acceleration, and I want you to understand just how fast things are moving. Consider artificial intelligence. Consider the advancements happening in healthcare and the job market. These aren't distant future scenarios anymore. They're happening now, today, this year. But let me show you something that really illustrates the speed of change. Something unusual unfolded before millions of viewers. Dancing humanoid robots took center stage during the annual Spring Festival Gala broadcast by China Media Group, the most watched official television event in China. They lunged with precision, spun in perfect synchronization, performed martial arts movements, and even executed backflips, landing smoothly without hesitation. What made the spectacle even more striking was the visible advancement from the previous year. Just 12 months earlier, similar robots had appeared on the same stage, but their movements were simpler, more mechanical, more limited. They could walk, twist, and perform basic kicks, but the complexity we witnessed this year was on another level. In the span of a single year, their balance improved, their coordination sharpened, and their choreography became dramatically more intricate. The difference was not subtle, it was exponential. And when you see exponential growth in technology, you begin to understand how quickly the world can change. We are living in a time of rapid acceleration in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics. What once took decades of development now seems to advance in months. Systems are learning faster, processing faster, adapting faster. The pace is no longer linear, it is compounding. And when progress compounds, transformation can happen almost overnight. Think about what this means for your job. Think about what this means for your privacy. Number 3, hearts are hardening. Rapidly. Supernaturally. Not gradually, rapidly, like clay baking in the sun, until it becomes stone. Romans 1, verses 28 to 32 describes this progression. Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to a depraved mind, so that they do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossips, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Notice the phrase, God gave them over. This doesn't mean God causes the hardening. It means He removes His restraint, like releasing a leash, like stepping back and allowing people's choices to take them where they've chosen to go. What we're witnessing now is unprecedented. People who refuse truth, no matter how clear, who defend lies with irrational intensity, who've become immune to evidence, logic, and reason. It's not just stubbornness, It's spiritual. Hearts turning to stone before our eyes. But here's the crucial part. For God's children, the opposite is happening. Hearts are softening, becoming tender, hungry for truth, able to discern deception with supernatural clarity. If you're walking with God, you might feel it. A growing sensitivity to what's real and what's false. An ability to spot hidden agendas and spiritual darkness that previous generations couldn't perceive. This is the great divide we're witnessing. Two groups of people moving in opposite directions. One group hardening, one group softening, one group becoming blind to truth, one group gaining supernatural sight. So where do you stand? Which direction are you moving? The choice is yours, but choose wisely, because these are the times we're living in. These are the signs, and they're all pointing to something significant, something that demands our attention and our faith. Be wise in these times.